giving you useful and practical tips to help you make more money selling travel. This is the Art of Selling Travel Podcast, and here to guide you through it all, your host, Glenda Beagle.
Hello, and welcome back. Okay, so we are in for another episode of the Art of Selling Travel Podcast, and this one comes from an interesting source, I have to say. So about a week or two ago, in the midst of a crazy, hectic, busy week, my husband and I decided to go to the local community toy bingo fundraiser that they were having at the exhibition center. Now, a little bit of background, my husband's been off on medical leave for a number of months due to long hauler COVID. It affected him neurologically, so he has struggles sometimes where his brain just doesn't keep up the way that it used to, very stress induced. And with having an extraordinarily stressful job, unfortunately, it doesn't always go well for him. Anyhow, so we went to this bingo. First off, hello introvert factor. I had extroverted all week through Zooms and online presentations and keynotes and recording for the podcast and all of these sorts of things. My husband always mocks me when I'm like, I have done way too much peopling. And he will say, you haven't left the house. I'm like, yeah, but you don't understand. They're all inside my computer. But don't get me wrong. I love chatting with people for the podcast and doing the interviews and everything else. It's just, it takes a lot out of me. So anyhow, back to the bingo. First off, we get there. I head straight for the back wall because there was no way I was sitting in amongst all those people. Like there's 300-400 people in that room. There was a lot of people there. And so I'm like, cool, the back table's open. Let's go sit there. That's great. I am slightly competitive. My family might say deeply competitive. Okay, my family might be right. But we're sitting down. We've got our games. We're ready to go. And wouldn't you know, I got a freaking line. Yup, I got a bingo. And so in my poor little introverted heart, I went, no. My husband's like, you got to tell him. And I said, no, that's not happening. He's like, but you've got to call it. So I lifted my hand as high as my shoulder and went, bingo. And meanwhile, he's like, we got a bingo over here. Yeah, no, I don't need that kind of attention. Anyhow, let me get back to the regular part of my story. So the night goes on. It's a great night. You get 15 games. It's 5 games per card, like strip of cards. We're each working 2 strips of cards. So we each got 6 bingo cards in front of us. Then the people at the end of the table beside us said, you know what? It's getting late. We gotta ditch. Here's our cards. Here's the adult cards. They gave their kid cards to a family over to the side. So being as how my husband does sometimes, have a little bit of a struggle keeping up sometimes. I'm like, that's okay. I will take the cards. So now instead of 6, I'm going to run with 12. We're good. We got this. We're totally rocking this. Anyhow, we're like 90 minutes in. We still got 5 games left to go. And as I'm like going through, as he's calling B9, and I'm up and down and up and down and up and down. And then he calls 074. So I'm back and forth all the way through. And I'm like, I got a good rhythm, but we're like 90 minutes in. It's for families. It's starting to get late. I noticed the bingo caller starting to call them a lot faster. My husband's going, I think you need help. I'm like, I'm fine. Just keep an eye out. If I miss something, grab it. I think you got to give me some of your cards. No, it's okay. Like, I got this. And he's like, I know you got it, but I don't think you need to. Anyhow, we get like to the second game because I don't know. I don't bingo very often. So we played 5 games on the same cards. They just kind of got like where you just had to fill in more and more things. So we're like on the second into the third game and he's like, I'm just taking a card. So he took the one strip of 3. So now we're each rocking 9 going through. And, and there's part of me, I'm like, but you're the one with the broken brain, and you keep saying my brain's not keeping up. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little offended. And then later that night, I was messaging with a girlfriend of mine, and I'm like, "Yeah, would you believe he took away my bingo cards because he didn't think I could keep up?" And I just remember her text message back with a laughing emoji. She's like, "The guy with the broken brain says your brain's broken." She's like, "How bad was it?" Well, you know what? Here's the thing. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. I could keep up with the bingo. Okay, in fairness, I had missed some numbers, so clearly I wasn't keeping up. But that's just it. I thought I was keeping up. I thought I was doing well. I thought I had to be the one that did it. The reality is, I wasn't doing that good of a job at it. And I needed to have help, but I didn't want to admit that I needed that help. I didn't want to admit that maybe I couldn't do it all. We're headed into the busiest season of the year. In our home lives, it's year end. Kids are going to come out of school right away for a holiday break. They're going to be all the festivities of all the different holidays going on right now. You've probably got holiday pageants. If your kids are in school, exams are probably coming up soon. Like there is so much going on, not to mention coordinating who's going where and who's going this and on what days and all of that sort of thing. And then we're coming up on the end of the year, and there's a good chance if you are an independent contractor, you're probably running on a calendar year for your taxes. So we all know you got to start working on that. And somewhere in the mix, we all get this idea that we've got to set these amazing resolutions because we're going to make more money than ever. And we're going to lose more weight than ever. And we're going to do this and we're going to do that and everything else. And then it just starts to compound. Whew. It gets heavy. And then we all wonder by the 15th of January why the heck we didn't do anything, why we couldn't keep up, why it was us that couldn't keep doing it. This person needs something from us. This person needs something from us. That person needs something from us. There's so much going on in our worlds. And yet we don't want to give anything up because, well, who else is going to do it? If we don't do it, then who? If we say no, then what would people think? What would people say? What might that mean? Here's the thing. Every time we say yes to something, we have to say no to something else, even if we aren't the ones that are physically saying no to it. But the reality is, the more we fill our cup, it's not just getting our cup filled. We're going to start to overflow it and start to spill it out. And when it starts to spill, we don't get to pick and choose what part of the cup pours over. That's going to choose on its own. In travel, we're just heading into wave season. January is a huge month for travel sales. And yet we've got all of these other sorts of things going on. It's funny how when we get to this time of year and we look back and we start going, well, what happened? All those plans that I made back in January, what happened to them all? But yet when we're right in it, because we're trying to do everything all at once, it seems like you're trying to hike Everest. The problem with setting goals is that we feel like we're the only ones that can do it, that we're the only ones that can get us across the finish line, that we're the only one that can actually get it done. And just because you can do it doesn't mean it should be you. Doesn't mean that should be the goal. I heard a friend of mine posted something earlier today that she had seen somewheres. And she said the problem with setting goals is that when we fall off track, we change the goal. We don't change the action. Well, here's the scoop. For a lot of people, they don't get to their goals because They tried to do too much and it didn't work, so they do nothing. In my business, so over the last decade and a half, I've run multiple businesses. I had a wildly successful travel agency for a number of years before I transitioned into coaching. When I transitioned into coaching, everything changed in terms of how my business operated. All of those traditional revenue generators that I was used to working with weren't there because that's not how my main form of income was going to come any longer. And then we all know what happened. I don't know, say February, March of this year, I don't know, called 2020. Anyhow, it shifted how we do things. But the thing is that when I had my travel agency full time, I had staff I had to pay. Like staff that were not on commission, but like needed to be paid whether a dollar was generated or not. I had utilities that had to be paid. I had rent that had to be paid. I had licenses and insurances and all of the things. And then everybody was knocking on my door asking for donations and everything else. And it got to be a lot. So what would I do? I would fire up that marketing engine and we'd get people pumping through the doors and I'd be closing sales left, right, and center. It would all be great and everything else. And then once it died down, it went like, whoo. Well, now it's like tumbleweeds rolling through here because there's nothing going on. I listened to a podcast not too long ago with Ed Milet, and he talked about the fact that what we do today doesn't affect us tomorrow. It affects us 90, 120 days down the road. So what does that mean? That means that if we are doing things, taking steps today, tomorrow, the next day, we're not going to see those this week. If I started working out today, I'm not going to see results by next weekend. I might feel them. I might question where some of those muscles came from, but I'm not going to be suddenly sculpted in some way or another. But give it 90, 120 days of working out every day, being consistent, putting in the work. Oh, yeah. Now I can see it. Now there's a difference in what's going on. The same is true when we stop doing things. If I worked out for months and months and months every single day and I stop working out, you're not going to be able to see that tomorrow. You're not even going to be able to see it by the weekend. But you give it a 3-4 months. Oh, yeah. You'll see that coming back. That bucket of ice cream. Yeah, I might have just said bucket. Wow, that was a little bit of a slip, but is what it is. But the thing is, though, is that that's going to show. That's going to reflect to the fact that I haven't worked out. And yet, that's how we treat our businesses quite often. That might be how you are treating your business. Definitely how I did my travel business for a lot of years. The feast and famine, when there was nothing going on, I was hitting the marketing hard. Soon as it started coming in, I took my foot off the gas and I just dealt with all the sales. All the sales wrapped up. Crap, got to hit the marketing hard. That was an exhausting. I felt like the hamster in the wheel. Like it was absolutely exhausting. And if I wanted to take a break, well, then guess what? You fall out of the wheel. But that's not how you get where you're going. It's absolutely exhausting to do the getting going and then stop, and getting going and stop. In 2023, in my coaching business, everything changed. Want to know what changed? It was like the simplest things ever. One, I started recording every single week a specific set of metrics for my business. It was the things that I wanted to track because I know that those things convert over. Some of those things included my podcast downloads. Okay, here's the scoop. Last week, we had more downloads in a single week than I did the whole first year of having the podcast. The whole first year of having the show, we did just last week. You, my dear sweet listener, thank you. Because it is people like you, it is travel advisors just like you that helped me achieve a goal. And I could not be more grateful. But if I wasn't tracking that, when I got to the end of the week, if I didn't feel like I had done something, it gets really hard not to stay consistent. I would get like email subscribers at the beginning of the week and then nothing for the last hour long of the week. And I'd be like, oh, I didn't get anybody. Maybe I got one or two. Guess what? I check my numbers. Holy crap. I got 27 new email subscribers this week. Ooh, I got 200 email subscribers that week. I got 57 that week. Like, holy smokes. Like, look at it coming in. Now, just to be clear, if people unsubscribe, I remove them fully from my system. So these are net gains. Heck, I've had weeks I've gone down because of the fact that I scrubbed my system like that. If I wasn't keeping track, I'd only go on the stories that were in my head. But the other biggest shift beyond consistency was having joined a mastermind group with other business coaches from the same business coaching community that we all belong to. There was a small group of us that linked up together, and we've built an accountability group and an accountability mastermind. We meet every single week. Every single week, we have to own up to where we're at. We have to talk about what did we accomplish. We say what we're going to be working on for the next week. We actually, I am deeply heartbroken. I did not go to California this year, where they all just got together. A number of them got together to go to the annual conference live all together. Oh, it's definitely the top of my list. We were kind of joking on one of them that we should actually keep track, and whoever does the least amount of accountability has to buy everybody supper next year. And I thought, ooh, that's a game I'm not willing to lose. But here's the scoop. When you have to show up for somebody, when you have to own up for somebody, own up for something in your business outside of yourself, it changes the way that you show up. Just think about that. We're all independently owned businesses, independent contractors, or the majority of the people that listen to the show are. So I am going to make the assumption that you most likely are. If you're not, that's okay. You're totally welcome to hang out with us still. But the majority of the people who listen are an independent contractor or an agency owner or something of that nature. So they're probably working almost in a silo by themselves. And they're not necessarily accountable to anybody else. There's not necessarily somebody else going, okay, what did you do? You know, we were all programmed when we were growing up that we had to turn in our homework every day at school. We had to show our work in a math problem. Trust me, that is not how my brain works. My brain just knows what the answer to the math problem is, and I don't want to have to do the long thing. Oh, and don't even get me started on writing first draft, second draft, third draft of an English story. That was just, yeah, no, never mind. We will not go to that trauma. Mm-hmm. I'm in the process of trying to write my first manuscript right now. And the one writing coach that I'm working with, she's like, well, you have to do your first draft. And I'm like, oh, let's not relive that. But the thing is, though, is that if I want to accomplish writing my book, I need to be accountable. If I want to accomplish making more sales, increasing my revenues, increasing the number of stages that I get on, increasing the number of people in my audience, There is a list of things I need to be doing on a consistent basis in order to make that happen. Because it does not matter how phenomenal your idea is. If you don't have an audience, if you never tell your audience, and you never put it out there, who cares? It doesn't exist. So as we move into 2024, I have put together a program that I think is going to blow your socks off, because we're going to take you through how to build the goals for you, for your life, for your business. We're going to do it with a full day strategy workshop. There is going to be a series of videos leading up to it, kicking off on January 1. And then every week, you're going to get an accountability email that you have to answer. And all it is wanting to know, did you say what you said you were going to do last week? What are you going to do this week? And then there'll be a few times where we ask you, what are the obstacles in your way? Might even be a little something extra in there. And then once a month, we're going to get together as a group on Zoom and we're going to work through it. Because if you come and say, I don't know what happened, I was working towards my goals and then everything just fell off. Guess what? You're probably not the only one that happened to. You're probably not the only one that's facing that struggle. So in which case, let's work together and get through it. This is your opportunity to work alongside me for an entire year with the sole focus of setting goals and creating an action plan that's going to get you from point A to point B without having to take too many extra detours. It's going to get you to look at what you want to do and say, just because you can, should you? We're going to help create the lens through which every decision in your business for 2024 gets made. If you want to be more profitable, what does that look like? What are the steps you need to take to be more profitable? I'm going to say we need to increase your revenues. I'm probably also going to say we need to decrease your expenses. What does it look like? What does it take to be a successful travel business entrepreneur, to be a successful travel agency owner, a successful travel advisor? If you're not getting all the leads you want, what do you need to change? Who do you need to become to get that? If you're not getting the sales that you want, what do you need to change? We're going to look at where you've been so that we can look at where you're going. And then we're going to help you build out the action plan needed. So if 2024 is the year that you are looking for epic growth in your travel business, no matter if you are brand spanking new or you've been doing it for 20 or 30 years, this is your opportunity to have accountability and to work towards consistency in your travel business on an ongoing basis for the entire year. All you have to do is go to artofsellingtravel.com/2024. Beyond that, I just want you to ask yourself, the next time you're feeling overwhelmed, the next time you're feeling like you're being pulled in 78 different directions, and we know that you're the one that can do this, I want you to ask yourself, just because I can, should I? Does it have to be me? As we head into the holiday season, it is so absolutely important that you're taking care of yourself. Because if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of your family. You can't take care of your business. Burnout is a real thing. I've done episodes on burnout. I feel like I'm probably not that far from it this week. I'm actually probably shouldn't even say this. I am doing a re-record of this episode. It is 12:12 a.m. the night of December 12th. We're technically now onto the 13th. But this episode is going to go live in just a couple of hours. I didn't love the way the last one came out, so I scratched it, came down here, and started re-recording. I have podcast episodes to record tomorrow for 2024. But then I think I'm taking the rest of the day off because I feel my own stresses increasing. And so I'm only going to do tomorrow what needs to be done, which isn't a whole lot. There's a lot that I would love to get done. Like I have pages of things I would love to get done. But tomorrow I've decided my biggest priority is my own care. I can do all those other things that were on my list on Thursday. But tomorrow, that's going to be my day. Because when my husband says to me, I just don't think your brain can keep up, that was quite the reality check. There's nothing like somebody who has, as my friend would say, a broken brain telling you your brain is broken and them actually seeing it better than you. He was proud. Don't get me wrong. He was proud as punch that he could actually keep up or even go faster than me that night. It was a little reshifted in the marriage there because we've gotten into our pattern in the last few months, but that's a story for another day. But as we wrap up here, when you're going through these next couple of weeks and getting ready for wave season in January, just ask yourself, just because I can, does it have to be me? Okay, we are going to catch you back here next week. Until then,